There was a muffled bang, flying shards of stained glass. We ducked for cover, and then we raced to the shattered window and looked into the alley. A pipe bomb had ricocheted off the leaded windows and exploded in the stairway below, chipping cement, knocking out bricks, blowing shrapnel for 25 yards. And the young Texans who had thrown it at us were long gone. That blast in Austin, Texas, at November 9th in 1960, shook the first planning meeting of what would become Texas's own civil rights movement. A few dozen of us students had gathered together in this meeting in the Austin Student YMCA, YWCA, to plan desegregation demonstrations. We had heard, of course, about the sit-ins in the South and how they worked with other students who were doing that to integrate restaurants, and we had a different idea. Our twist was to do stand-ins to integrate the movie theaters. First on the drag, which was the street next to the university, where 2 theaters were, and then eventually the whole state. I was new to the University of Texas, but I joined the student meeting because I believed in full integration, not just desegregation. I supported equality between blacks and whites, and that was pretty rare in Texas back then. Like all 60s activists, we believed, of course, we could change the world. Some of you may remember that kind of enthusiasm. We were black and white and undeterred by the hate that we faced. We were uniformly naive and idealistic. We felt immortal and a bit self-righteous. Our view of justice recognized no shades of gray. By January 1961, allies in other states joined with us to put nationwide pressure on the large chains that owned the Varsity and Texas theaters. By August, we had successfully negotiated an end to the chain's policies of segregation. We succeeded in integrating over 100 movie theaters across the nation all at once, years before the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and 1965. Based on our losses in the McCarthy campaign, we created the Independent Precinct Organization, and we began to win election after election on the north side of Chicago. So the next scene I want to share from you comes when I was a newly elected alderman, and it is captured in the cover photograph on the book. On July 21st, 1971, I rose in the city council chambers to challenge the appointment of Tom Keene, Jr. to the relatively obscure Zoning Board of Appeals. To me, his appointment was an ugly mix of nepotism and a conflict of interest. I thought it was wrong, so I asked a few questions, and then the room exploded. For Tom Keene Jr. was the son of Mayor Richard J. Dooley's floor leader, Alderman Tom Keene Sr., who was himself, of course, the son of an alderman who had died. So on the council floor, I stood, I declared, this appointment poses the problem of faith of our citizenry and our city government. Why is it that members of the same family get appointments to several sections of government, and that only large firms seem to get representation on boards dealing with zoning and construction? It was a very short speech. Rather immediately interrupted. Mayor Daley demanded to know how anyone could question him, he said, quote, "The idea I made this appointment because a man's name was Keene and he was the son of a famous member of this council. I made this appointment because I've known Tommy Keene, the boy I appointed, since he was a baby." Should that boy be told that he shouldn't hold office because his name is Keene? I didn't quite understand at the time, but Daley was particularly angry that I had challenged him on nepotism. Nor did he have much respect for my profession. He continued by now much more loudly. "Where are we going with these kinds of educators? You're doing this to the young people of our country, and Simpson's not the only one. He's typical of the large number of professors in the university polluting the minds of the young people. Frankly, if you're a teacher, God help the students that are in your class."